Good evening. It is Monday, June the 14th, about 9:45 p.m. This is meteorologist Shay Gibson from Leading Edge Weather, getting ready to dive into a preliminary forecast for the summer Sailstice race, starting this Friday at 3 o'clock p.m. from the CYC dock. So let's go ahead. Let's take me down here to the corner. We're still looking at the forecast. So if you go to the site, the summer Sailstice site, you'll see sailing instructions, and then there's a list of courses. This is to be determined. We'll determine the final at the skippers meeting this Thursday night, where I'll see you in person, and we'll go over the final forecast for the race and which course to go with. So it's going to be probably one of the southerly courses here. We have yet to determine that. We just want to wait and see what the patterns do. If the pattern's going to hold for the week, it looks like there's a lot of agreement what's going to happen. Let's dive right in. Here's the WPC 7-day outlook for surface mapping, and right now we have a frontal boundary just sort of laid through the area that will be pulling in tomorrow. So we'll keep the chance of storms in for tomorrow and even into Wednesday, but things really start to dry out. We get into a drier pattern, less unsettled as we get into Thursday, Friday, and even into Saturday. So we go forward, and what we see here is we see a dry front dropping down by Wednesday and down into the region fizzling. So then we get high pressure that builds in behind this. And this will be a nice dome to see. Let me try to get the pencil working. Northerly winds will come down with it, and then those will weaken as the center of high pressure continues to drive over the Carolinas. Now, one thing that tends to happen, I just talked to Charlie Lent a little bit ago, is the models are always in a lot of agreement over high pressures parking over the mountains at times, but we do know when physics is involved, heat fluxing in the summertime, especially in the summertime, we see the highs really start to expand out over the Atlantic and get into that Bermuda high pattern. Now, how quick this is going to happen has yet to be determined. I think this will happen a little bit sooner. I think where we would normally see central high pressure built over the Carolina coast or just off near OBX, I think that we'll probably have a separate lobe out here that it will join to, and then we'll end up with a larger high pressure that even just eats into that front down to our south and fizzles it out, and we get that summertime southerly sea breeze. So that's kind of my guesstimation of what's going to happen. And as we see as we get into Saturday, the high does exactly that. According to the GFS, it's just a little bit late in showing it. We actually have high pressure out here. You can see the ridge axis here. And then we have northeastern Gulf Mexico. We have sort of an adjoining feature that brings winds up. Now, overnight, Friday, I think Friday, we're going to end up seeing some modest southerlies. And then if the high pressure does park out over the Atlantic a little bit more, we may see the south-southwest or even southwest sea breezes come up a little higher than what the models are showing right now. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the modeling. So GFS, one quick thing I do want to bring up, and we'll get into wind here in just a second. What I really want to kind of focus on, we have some of the tropics. Now, how is that going to affect us? Well, if this system down here in the Bay of Campeche does try to form as it lifts north, it is expected to become tropical in nature. It depends on where this is going to make landfalls. The GFS is getting a little bit aggressive on where it's going. It had a little bit more on the northwestern Gulf Coast in other runs. Now it's aiming more towards central northern Gulf Coast. And what that means is it's going to, if this tracks in on by Friday afternoon and even into Saturday, this is going to push a lot of moisture up into the southeast region. And that's just what happens. So if we get that with high pressure out over the Atlantic doing this number with clockwise rotation, we end up getting another unsettled pattern that moves up in our area. So we get more favorable chances for storming events as we get into Saturday. Right now, the forecast is 50-50 with maybe a later shot. So hopefully the race will be over by then. But I think it's just something to kind of put in the back of your mind that Saturday may end up being a little bit unsettled as we go through the day. I think most boats might be done hopefully by mid to late morning at the latest. I think even with some lighter winds may thwart that. But even if you look at the INSEP Streff plume viewer, not much rain, very few traces on just a couple of models from basically Thursday on. And then it stops here on Friday, and we'll cover this as well. I'll go through, but very low chances for rain all those days, even into Friday, and then I think even into Saturday. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Euro for June the 18th. So this is in the morning, and you can see the Euro here gets a little bit aggressive on the afternoon winds from the south-southeast. So they're talking, 10, maybe 12 knots, especially when you get offshore, maybe a little bit more wind out there. The thing is, the Euro is a global model, so it's not getting as much detail as a higher resolution model would go. These are low resolution, but the GFS is also in agreement with this. So if there's agreement from two global models, that means there's a pretty good shot that we're going to see those. GFS is being a little bit more from the south or even tilting south-southwest. So it really depends on the high pressure that builds down over the Carolinas. Is it going to expand east quicker and become more of a Bermuda high setup? and then we end up getting a little bit more winds from the south-southwest or not. And then overnight Friday night, now the models are usually not very good at predicting this. We tend to see here's the later where we get these westerly land breezes. The GFS is picking up on that a little bit, but a little bit late in the morning. Higher resolution models later on in the week, we're probably going to see an overnight westerly breeze after say 10, 11 o'clock. We may see winds die down significantly into the lower single digits, and then slowly turn from the westerly land breezes, and they may make it out to sea for a few miles or not. It's really tough to say how far out those land breezes can make it, but we're looking at very light winds sometime between 2, 4 in the morning and lasting all the way until sunrise when the sea breeze kicks back in and begins to southerly draw. Now, a lot of times the sea breeze front will reside offshore, so you may be out in southwesterly winds overnight or south to southwest just along that boundary. At some point, it may cut off if you're closer to land. So just be aware of that. Um, but yeah, GFS, as far as temperatures go, look like typical summertime pattern here. We're going to be looking at low 90s for the 18th, which is Friday, and then cooling down just a little bit on Saturday to 87 as some clouds move up. We talked about that tropical system, and that's only if the clouds do move in and the unsettled pattern starts to begin. The clouding will keep the air temperatures a little bit cooler. As far as wave activity, let's see. It looks like the Weather Service nearshore wave prediction is calling for about 1 to 2 feet, somewhere in that vicinity, from the south-southeast or southeast with a short or a wind swell. So this is a short period swell, probably between 5 and 7 seconds by the time we get into the race start. And then as we go out further in time, we see that overnight the swell kicks up a little bit more. We're talking about 2 to maybe 3 feet. As we get further offshore, further inshore, you're looking at about 2 feet with a little bit longer period as we get into Saturday, looking at southeast at about 8 to 9 seconds. So not really getting into a ground swell, but we're going to stay within a wind swell period and somewhere between 1 to 2 and possibly 3 feet as we get into Saturday morning early and then even into Saturday mid to late morning. I think that's going to do it for this forecast. I really didn't want to keep this very long. Just want to kind of go over a few things, but just keep in mind that all final decisions will be made at the skippers meeting Thursday night, and we'll see you there. Until then, everyone take care and keep your eye on the forecast. Make sure that we're going to get consistent readings. Take care.